Right, welcome guys to the first ever real football talk show. I'm the host. My name is Hassan. Here with me is Coach Adil and Famik, who's a coach and a player. Both have either managed or played grassroots football. Today we will discuss everything to do with Arsenal versus Aston Villa, which happened last week, and talk about the critical points that have come out of the game. So my first question goes out to both of you, really. You can take a pick who's going to go first. What did you think of the game?
I'll go first. What I want to do is actually just say what I thought before the game.
Okay, sure.
So off the back of the Wolves defeat, I was actually really worried about Arsenal. I thought everything Arteta said was, after the game, like I spoke to quite a few Arsenal fans, and even on the few days after, all they kept going on about, and I kept hearing the word cheat, cheat, cheat. They genuinely felt they got cheated. And I was like, do you feel you got cheated by the ref, or you feel cheated by the result because the performance didn't deserve that? Which I could understand. If it was because Wolves had the decisions going their way, and before that point, quite a comfortable 1-0 lead, I could understand you feeling cheated or upset by that. But then the decisions, as soft as they were clear-cut decisions. I mean, it's no different from what we've been seeing the whole season, and ever since VAR came in, which is if there's a slight contact, someone goes down, it's going to be a penalty, and the rules are the rules. I don't think there's a football fan who likes that rule. That if you don't put a tackle in, it ends up being a red, but you could put a tackle in and it'll be a yellow. Doesn't make sense. But to say cheat didn't make sense to me. And to say, for Arteta to say he's seen it 5 times and still can't see a touch, didn't make sense to me. And I just thought that coming off the back of those excuses, I felt was the wrong mentality to set for your players, because it was a clear penalty. There were 2 touches. Whether they're accidental or intentional, we can't say. Either way, there was contact. It was unfortunate. Ref had no choice. It was clear. I even had some Arsenal fans debating whether that's a clear goal scoring opportunity. I mean, if that ain't running inside the box, into the box clean through, if that ain't clear goal scoring, I don't know what is. But the whole dispute and the way the players and I just felt they're going to struggle against Villa. I just had that feeling from the off, just because of the way Arteta had gone on after the game, where he didn't kill the noise, he didn't speak about the positives, and there was a lot of positives in that game. The first half was good. They controlled a difficult team. So I thought, he missed a big opportunity to highlight the positives, and I wasn't surprised by the start. I mean, the start, 2 minutes conceding a goal, the miscommunication. There were so many things wrong with that first goal that it didn't get highlighted. As a coach, there was a lot wrong with it. For example, everyone's just saying, "Oh, the pass from Cedric was poor." It wasn't actually just the fact that it was poor. It was the whole thing around. You got to question the line of the defense there. I mean, they're on the edge of their box. This is from goal kick. There's no striker in the vicinity there. Watkins is on that side. They started off so deep anyway. Then, Suarez plays the ball. He's not even playing it to a defender. He's playing it out to the byline. Like, it doesn't make sense. The whole thing doesn't make sense. Even when you look at the way Holding defended that,
Well, holding should have really been a bit more tighter to the goal. He should have stepped forward instead of standing.
He could see the cross. His position was so good that he could see where the cross is going. So as the cross is coming in, go out and meet it.
He didn't move. He did not move.
But the issue is that if he had just stayed with his man, the ball would have ran across the box and nothing would have happened. But he's tried to anticipate where it's going by going deeper, and he's given Watkins the space.
No, but after the ball's been hit, he did not move.
Yeah, but that's what Holding does. So I don't blame him.
Positionally, he did the right thing. He covered the space where in case Watkins goes short or in front or behind, he can read it. But the whole point of that position is you read it and then you react. Yep. The point isn't to have an excellent position and then not react and just watch the player take a shot. So position, he actually did everything right, but he just didn't do the second part of it. The whole point of that position is you can see where the striker goes and then you close it down or you follow it. So the base was right, but the reaction was wrong. So just on that note, I was not surprised by the start. I wasn't surprised by conceding so early. I just felt that was the consequence of all the talk after the Wolves game, which was negative. Didn't focus on any of the positives, the spirit, the football when 11v11, and obviously, you know, if I lost a game like that, I would not be despondent because you lost because of key decisions going your way, and that can happen.
See, it's funny you say that because I thought because of the way Arsenal lost to Wolves, they'd start this Aston Villa game on fire. Basically, like, you know, we've had a bad decision. We think it was wrong because a lot of players were on social media complaining about it. Yeah. So you'd think their next game, they're going to do everything in their power to win it. And to start the game like that was rubbish. And then, you know what happens with Arsenal? You go down. Nowadays, they're dominating possession, but they're not doing anything with this possession. So you just knew that the game was going to end up being a very boring game. Nothing really happened in that match, in my opinion.
The Villa match.
Yeah, it was.
It was great. I was as a coach, and I was actually, there's a lot of things Arteta did as a coach I was quite fascinated by.
He like bringing on Willian every week without fail.
That was the thing. There was no consistency in what he did, and I felt he ruined the fluidity of the game by doing it in steps instead of doing it in one go. So second half, he done a really clever thing when he moved
Saka to left back, took off Cedric.
So basically, soon as Villa brought on Trezeguet, he switched it up. But the clever thing that he did, and obviously, you know, in future I'd like to show it on the tactics board. But what the clever thing they did was they moved Xhaka into a defensive mid left back position, so just slightly ahead of the back three. But he's actually occupied, so like Henderson would cover the space and Wijnaldum would cover the space of the fullback. Xhaka was doing that. So he was actually playing the left side of defensive mid. And what happened was Trezeguet kept getting sucked in and pressing Xhaka instead and totally leaving Saka, forgetting Saka is actually his man. Because Saka's playing like a winger. And 3-4 times for the next 10 minutes, Pepe would set free. Because of that tactical change, because Trezeguet kept pressing on Xhaka, which left Saka free to play in Pepe. Pepe's one-on-one, going past his man, but he has no end product. Whether he's crossing or shooting, there's no conviction in what he's doing. You can just see it. He's placing when he should lace, you know. Everything about doing it lacks of a player who's believing in himself.
Do you think that's his fault or the manager's fault? His lack of confidence?
I think it's the manager's fault because there's been games where he's played good and then he got dropped. And at that moment, I understand Arteta pushed for Willian so much that he had to play him blindly. But
yeah,
when the
and I don't get it.
you can't, it's about results. It's not about, and that's why one of the biggest things I wanted to talk about the game and just Arsenal in general is it feels to me as a coach, some of them that I've had watching in, that so much of what Arteta does is about himself and protecting himself. And he's so worried about losing the fans. So a lot of the things he does is, and that surprises me. For me, a manager who's shown the potential and has won cups, it's surprising me that he's so worried about proving to his players and proving to the fans still. And that's why he goes overboard in a lot of these press conferences or post matches where he's either overcritical of players who have made mistakes. Some you can understand, but it's when you're losing and when some of them is accidental, second yellow card. Here's a defensive midfielder. I mean, he got yellow cards and sending off from showing his career.
But surely it's a problem within Arsenal because this year itself, they've got 5 red cards. So there's clearly something wrong in the background.
Why? Why?
That's my question. So what's happening in the background that it's keep happening?
I think it's just, this is just one of those years where a lot of things that sometimes you get away with and sometimes you don't, they're not really getting away with, because some of the red cards, you've seen them in other matches where nothing's happened, but then you've also seen them in games where people are being punished. And it's just this season, this is the luck that Arsenal get. I wouldn't read anything too much into it personally.
Well, then my question to you both is, Jan Badrak's red card got rescinded, and he's allowed to play next week. But it's not the same for David Luiz. But the incident and the thing was the same thing.
But one was the defender making contact accidentally to the striker in Luiz's case, and the other one was Martial diving and making contact with Bednarek. So when he went to the panel, they saw it for what it was. The commentators were alluding to it. When I was watching the replays while Mike Dean was checking the VAR, it was obviously should have been overruled. It shouldn't have even been a penalty, because you can see clearly Martial has fallen over and is diving before any contact is made. He pulls his leg out. Not aggressive, subtly, but he makes contact and he's already falling.
He was already falling from the angle.
And the commentators were alluding to it, but not saying it clearly, because just in case Mike Dean does what Mike Dean does, which is not actually look at the evidence and stick to decision. And that's what's happened. But so that again, even Arsenal fans complain. I just don't understand the mindset.
Okay, but you say that Martial made contact with Bednarek to get that free kick, the penalty.
Yeah.
But if the Wolves player doesn't draw his foot back to shoot, he doesn't make contact with David Luiz. So wouldn't you say that he's made the contact?
But one is in the act of shooting and the other one is in no act at all. He's going past the player. He's not looking to shoot. He's not even on the ball. He's played a pass and then left his leg down, hanging out. It's not an act of shooting or act of dribbling past the player. He was, and the biggest thing is he was already started to fall before contact was made, and it was a penalty.
Here the problem is the law. So the referee literally followed the law as it said, where if it's accidental or whatever, it's getting a red card if they're not making the attempt. So in that sense, the referee looked at the video and they have to go with that because that's what it says in the law, and that's something that needs to be changed.
Let's talk about the discipline issue. Pammy, if I'm right saying you think it's just one of those anomalies that's happening this team and part of the growth of the team, and there's no specific reason for it. For me, I actually genuinely think all of these things are down to the way Arteta is managing the team, the club, the players, the environment around the players. For example, if you go over the top harsh on your player, but you want them to fight, you want them to tussle, and yeah, sometimes they get the boundaries wrong, and you grill them and you hang them out to dry. Those players are playing with the fear, and we all know. You play the game. When you play with fear, when you have that nagging thought in your back of your mind, you end up making those type of mistakes. So one of the reasons I think lack of discipline is the way Arteta called his players out openly. You'll do it a bit, but he went in really harsh.
Which ones are you talking about there?
The Pepe.
Yeah, one. But the Pepe one was stupid, and I get stupid, why he reacted like that in terms of Arteta calling him out. It's just the way the other players got booked after, got red carded after. His reaction wasn't quite the same, which is what I think the issue is there.
No, it wasn't the same because this has been a running. So if you look at the way Arteta was talking before that game, while they were on that indifferent form and really struggling, every single post-match press conference was Arteta kind of having a dig at his players and his team and kind of slamming them. And it's come out since that basically they had to have a heart-to-heart where he had to back down on the way he was talking and treating the players. Because and then, don't get me wrong, he won the FA Cup, he won the Charity Shield, or whatever it's called right now, Community Shield. That don't make you some amazing manager that players aren't going to question you yet.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in different form. Now, if you keep criticizing, so even when the team was losing or drawing and they were necessarily having disciplinary issues, he was still gunning his players. He was still going in proper harsh on it. He was doing nothing to lift the spirits of the players. So when the Pepe incident was the tip of the iceberg, where the players just had enough, and that's why after that, the other sendings off, he went different. He realized, and that's why there's been an upturn in performance, because after that big team discussion, Arteta got called out that the players think he's been too harsh with them and he's been over coaching them, over mechanical with them.
Do you think that's what's caused the upturn? Rather than just him
have come in and they've played with the freedom, and suddenly you're seeing a lot more forward balls, dribble, a lot of things that isn't mechanical.
But also
similar to the Arsenal last year, where he allowed a lot of creative freedom within the system.
Which is what I was going to say. He's changed the way. So when he first joined, he was playing a particular type of football with a 10, for example.
Yeah.
At the start of the season, he decided to change that. Since he's brought the 10 back in, we've looked better.
Well, there's more freedom there.
But it all stems from the players being given that chance to voice that he's over coaching and over making the team too structured, too mechanical in its approach. And now they've gone back. But then what's happened? You got few results, and then slowly you see the mechanical approach reappearing.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm saying. Arteta, everything he's saying in his post-match is smacks of a manager who is still trying to convince his players, still trying to convince the fans. You can tell that there's some internal battle there where he's trying to convince them my method is the way forward. And it's not working. The results aren't proving it.
Yes. And again, it shows by the players he's got rid of as well.
So one reason I say the disciplinary is a big problem was because of he was too harsh on the players. The second thing is the second bit. So since they started to go on this run, he does nothing but absolutely, nothing but overpraise the team's performance. And again, it's anyone who watches the matches will see there's, it's fine margins. It's not.
Yeah.
Arsenal aren't playing great football. They're not dominant.
The first 45 minutes against Wolves is the best Arsenal have played all season.
Half.
This season.
And I was saying to a couple of Arsenal fans before the game, and it backfired because is the first time Arsenal done something. So Arsenal saved themselves for second half. First half, they shut up shop. They don't play any football, and the second half they go for it. And that's what they've been doing on this mini revival run. Is first half is totally boring to watch. Nothing happens in the first half, and the second half they play with some conviction, some intensity. Suddenly the high press is up, the overload, the running, the intent, and they win the game into a 10-15 minute spell, and then they go back to that secure football, structured football, see the game out. Now, every single one of those post conferences, Arteta is using nothing but superlatives about the performance. Some of those performances were average performances. You might have won, but the way he is giving this impression that he totally dominated the game, created clear-cut chances, should have been 4-0 up by half-time. All of that is a load of rubbish. When you watch those games, it's not how it was. Those chances are half chances at best in a lot of the games. Against Wolves, again, the script got flipped. Saka's chance was a clear-cut chance, the one where he hit the post. So, yeah, I accept the Wolves game was slightly different. But previously, and I think that doesn't help players as well, because when you're not performing great, but you're being told you're being great, you totally dominate the game. That gives you that false sense of
security.
Like you've lost against Wolves, and you've heard nothing but the ref cheated you, and you dominated the game, and you should have been out of sight. Well, guess what? You're gonna be relaxed in the next 2 minutes of against Villa. Why? Because you've been built up, and now you're gonna believe this hype that you're doing a lot more better than you actually are. And the thing is, a lot of the Arsenal players, they're on social media. I mean, after the game, every one of their starting lineup will have a comment to say, repeating practically what Arteta says in his post-match. So they are believing all this hype. On top of that, they're playing with a bit of fear that they know if they get sent off, if they make a major mistake, this is a man that's going to call us out really harsh. And I just think those are the reasons why there's disciplinary issues within.
So the question: do you think there's a lack of trust there between the manager and the player?
Specific players there are, yeah. Pepe
and
Arteta,
there is favoritism there.
Oh, definitely.
It feels like he's still trying to prove himself, especially when you hear him talk. He's still trying to convince them totally of his methods. That's why he keeps going back to that structured approach, even though when he lets the players play with creative freedom, the results have been good. Last season, the run was good, picked up 2 cups. This season, when he's taken the chains off the team, let the players play with freedom, they went on a run again. I think he's still trying to convince all the players of what he's trying to do. And if you look at the amount of formation changes, player changes, the amount of different players that play in different positions, it's not consistent. And
you think the player positions have changed that much?
Yeah, I mean, look, tell me, are you confident in knowing whether Pepe is going to play left or right?
Depends on who's playing on the other side. If Saka plays, Pepe is going to play on the left. If Willian plays, Pepe will play on the right.
Again, so you're never really sure. Even Saka, you're never sure whether he's going to be part of the midfield, defense, or front three.
Well, this season he had his whole pretty much on the right.
At the moment, it is if Saka plays,
he's playing on the right.
It's the other side that is going to get picked. Again, because Pepe has been okay and Willian has been injured. Willian hasn't been getting game times because we've been on our run, which has been all right. What Arteta's trying to do now is because Willian is his signing, he's trying to force him back into the team. And every time Willian comes on, you start to notice more and more that this is a really bad decision. And instead of Arteta to be like, yes, it was a bad decision, he's like, no, Willian still needs to adapt.
Did you see the chance that Willian had against Aston Villa? Did anyone have any conviction that he was going to score?
against
Just
Aston
wonder-
Villa.
I don't think anyone said by the way he was shaping up or anything that he would score.
No. I mean, he didn't even open up his body. He didn't even strike the one he hit. But what I would say to that
So is he lacking in confidence?
Pepe is doing the exact same thing. Similar shots where there's no real backlift. He's pushing at the ball. He's barely striking the ball. He's trying to place it and push at the ball.
But this is the thing. The thing is that Pepe does this, he'll get dropped the next game. Willian does it, he's still playing the next game. Willian isn't. I don't think Willian has a lack of confidence. He just doesn't care. He's at a stage where he's just here to earn money. He doesn't care. Pepe, on the other hand, will have good minutes. He's contributed more than Willian has, but he's still in and out of the team. Pepe is a kind of player who needs a good run and confidence
5 to 10
do
games.
I think
any kind of.
A lot is down to the change, the different philosophies and environment within a club. I mean, at Chelsea, he was a leader in the change room. He was given that importance. He was given that status as one of the main men. Players control that dressing room. There's a lot of leaders there. It comes to Arsenal, lack of leadership. The players don't control that change. It's the manager. Manager's leading everything. And that ain't bringing out the best in Williams. Williams used to having that pressure of, you're one of my main guys. You need to lead by example. You need to run the most. You need to, create stuff. He's used to playing, and especially when you've been at a club and played with that level of responsibility for 6-7 years, or however long he was there at Chelsea, and then suddenly moved to a total environment where you're given that freedom of not having that pressure and intensity put on you. Your standards will drop without you even realizing. And I don't think it's intentional. I don't necessarily think it's because of the money. I think Willian, his stats have proven he's a motivated player. He runs, he gives it his all. It's just that edge ain't there because the environment within the club isn't putting that pressure on him.
So is there a mentality issue with Arsenal then?
I do. I think
is that the biggest problem that we say?
I think there's too much hype around average performances, and there's too much. So if we go and we're looking at even for players, you tell me you got Tierney has played 2 to 3 different positions. Gabriel 2 to 3 different positions. He's played left back. He's played left-sided centre back, and he's played left wing back.
Has he?
The system. So sometimes he's played the third central defender. Sometimes played in the same system the wing back. The 3 in the back, he's played the wing back. Sometimes played in the back 4.
He has when Kolasinac was there. He was playing there.
So I just think this is overcoaching. Like, when is a player meant to build confidence and rhythm in his position? Everything with Arsenal is you don't know what they're doing.
But having said that, most teams have players like that though, where you get them in different positions. For example, Raheem Sterling has played across the front 3 for Man City. Gundogan's played up front.
Phil Foden.
Yeah, it's
that's a team that's settled. That's a team that's settled in its identity, knows what it's doing. Those players know the different tactical differences in each of those positions.
What about Rashford for Man United?
At that time, with the players to settle them, to create the rhythm, to build the confidence, and we're not saying what he managers change positions, change formations, but when you do it within the first year, you're not building any confidence in the players because they're taking on new information from you, and then being asked to play loads of different formations, loads of different positions. And it just makes you start questioning yourself, second guessing yourself. The thing, if you go back to the match against Villa, it still made no sense because, again, when I was watching that, I was thinking, who has been your best player in the all season? Arsenal's best player so far has been Saka and Tierney.
Yeah.
When it comes to end product, who is currently your best player?
Saka, I think.
Saka. If there's a pass to be played, the pass is perfect, the weight is perfect, the cross is perfect. If there's a chance to be had, the finishing is there. He's testing the keeper. It's a proper strike. He's not placing it. He's not pushing at it. He's going for it. He's your difference maker right now. You've changed your tactics where you've tricked Villa into pressing one of the defensive midfielders because he's moved towards the left back position. You've created an overload. Now you got Saka and Pepe. 3 times in that 10-minute spell, Pepe's the man free. One of them crosses straight to Martinez. Second one, he cuts in, takes a right foot shot. Third one, he actually picks out Odegaard. Odegaard blazes it over the bar. My question there is, you've created everything for Pepe to be the guy that's free. Why not? Why haven't you played Pepe on the right, Saka there, and do everything to get your best guy, the guy who has an end product, who showed the most quality and is in form, confident? Why isn't he the guy you're setting up to be free? You know, that cross where he went straight to Martinez, it was an easy cross. Pick out, like I said, pick out a player. It's not hard.
I think the reason behind that is because Arteta's trying to make Arsenal a system team rather than an individual team. So the same situation should occur regardless of which players are in those positions. Kind of like Man City. You watch Man City play, it doesn't matter who is crossing the ball or who's in what positions.
They all know.
All the positions needed are filled. So if Gabriel Jesus is the one that's crossing, Sterling's the one that's taking up his position, rather than it has to be Sterling crossing or it has to be De Bruyne crossing.
Yeah, but when you make a change and you're 1-0 down, you've made a change, you played the overload on the left-hand side to real clever tactical. I thought it was really clever from Arteta what he did. As a coach, I was like, wow, this is really, this is really intelligent. A lot from this, how he's shifted Xhaka to that side and then made him look like the left back, and now the right wing is pressing the wrong man. You've recognized you're attacking down the left. The whole second half, they're attacking down the left mainly, other than a few runs from Bellerin from deep, and that's through loose breaks. You're focusing your attack down that side. It was the right thing to do. You're creating chances. Pepe having chances. If you're going to move Saka to left back or to do the overload, why not just make him your guy? And then to make it worse, you then change it all again. In the game, you change it all again. You end up putting Pepe on the right anyway to bring on Willian. And I was like, it makes no sense.
I think what he was trying to do is accommodate Willian more than anything.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like. And because Partey got injured, he didn't know who else to play because there was no one else. So he put Willian in to create more bodies in midfield. But Willian didn't really do anything. He was more of a... He wanted him to play more like a number 10, but Willian was just...
No, when Partey got injured, they changed the system. They played 1-6 defending.
1-6 defending, yeah.
Xhaka went back into the CDM role, and they played with 2-10.
Yeah.
Odegaard and
Willian.
Smith Rowe.
Oh, Smith Rowe, yes.
But my point is still the same. Your best player, you switched him from right wing to left back. You switched Pepe, who hasn't got end product. At the end, you've made another change. You've switched him to right wing. You brought Willian now. Once Willian came on, you lost the fluidity of the game because up until that point, it was like any minute Arsenal going to score.
Yep.
Any minute, too many changes.
Yeah.
And it was really, and for me, the game changed the moment Partey got injured because that tactic where Trezeguet was pressing the wrong player, and I was surprised. It took about 10 minutes for Dean Smith to realize what was going on and why Saka was always free on the left side, was because Trezeguet kept pressing the wrong man. And the whole game changed on those two things. Partey getting injured and Ramsey coming on. Suddenly, Ramsey's back to picking up Xhaka. Trezeguet is back to picking up Saka.
Yeah,
I
it's
suddenly
just
open opportunities were no longer there. But my point is, for 10 minutes, you've done a tactical masterclass. You've tricked the manager, you've tricked the right winger. Why set it all up for a guy out of form who already had shown he hasn't got the end product? You can see tactically Arteta is amazing. That was, for me as a coach, amazing bit of tactics. But the execution was poor at the end of it. The right tactic, you created three really clear-cut opportunities, potential opportunities from just that switch you've made. But you didn't get the reward because you didn't put the right player in the right place. And it's a shame.
we'll see what he does for the Leeds game
Thank
because
you, guys.
Arsenal need to pick up points ASAP.
They do. Thank you, guys. We will stop here for today.
Yeah.
And we'll select the game next week, which we're going to pick. If anyone has any suggestion, please do let us know. And thank you for being with us today. So thank you, guys.